Cue to stand by.
Ready?
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Mid-Tier Thoughts. Me and Mike did an awesome range session recently, and we were going to have some time to sit down and talk about the loadouts that we brought with us, but time ran out. We both have family lives, so now we're doing it remotely. Adjust my camera here a little bit. So a little bit different than our normal format, but yeah, so it was basically a Low Vis PCC loadout was the idea in whatever form we thought would fit. I went kind of more of a, I call it like the heist loadout. I made an Instagram post about it. I'll have that somewhere floating around here. Or basically kind of something you could wear under a jacket and be super non-obvious minus the gun. Mike's a little bit more obvious, but still pretty sweet stuff. I've got probably the more budget-minded. He's got kind of the more buy once, cry once. Mike, if you want to introduce us to your gun, kind of tell us what you're running.
Yeah, absolutely. So with my approach to PCCs, I came into it with the mindset of I already have a Glock 19 in my pants every single day. What kind of magazines do I have at home? And I decided to, lack of words is sounding smart here, consolidate all of my options here, magazines, caliber, whatnot. And I decided on B&T. And the reason why I decided on B&T is they're super solid quality product with their quality control being out of this world and their products being absolutely phenomenal. When I typically think PCC, I think HKs just because I love them. I love the way they look. I love the way they run, all that stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I love Grantham's videos, dude. HKs are kind of dated in my opinion. So I decided to go with B&T. And this is why. I know some people are going to be big mad. This is why. Glock mags. So I decided to go with something that I can run, I can throw in my pistol in case of a catastrophic failure with my PCC, or in the opposite spectrum of my pistol having a catastrophic failure, I can pull that magazine out of my pistol and now I have a working, running magazine for my PCC. So I went with all clear B&T GHM9, small profile, 3-inch barrel. I went with Mod Light, the PLV 2 because I prefer a little bit more flood with my PCC because, like, let's be honest here, dude. It's 9mm. It's a bigger barrel, suppressor, all that stuff. You think you can reach out that far? You can't. It's still 9mm. So ballistically, we're working in 300 yards here, baby. So with this B&T, it's very easy, simple controls. I decided to go with a smaller platform that's not direct. That's not like an AR pistol or anything like that, because a lot of people said, oh, you could go in the cheaper route, run the Glock mags in an AR platform. The reason why I didn't do that is there are some problems that arise with running PCCs in your AR platforms. So buffer tube issues, cycling issues when it comes to running suppressors, things like that. I'd rather just get something out of the box, meant to be suppressed, good to go. And just I like the direct blowback systems. I prefer them over other systems just because I think it's pretty reliable to have that just direct blowback. I don't think I missed anything. So let me pull it off my fat face, dude. B&T. Don't judge this full setup. I'm nowhere near done yet. I wanted to go with Holosun, but I'm going to end up switching to a ScalarWorks to bring it up for when we start running night vision. And another problem I kept on running into this was how do you fit like your laser, optic, and everything onto here and keep it small at the same time? Because the B&T, I think in total is only like 3-inch barrel, and the whole body length is almost less than a foot. So to keep it short like that, I'm bouncing between two things. I think I either want to do the
GBRS?
Yeah, GBRS. I'm either going to get GBRS, which means I have to switch this out with the T1 or the aim point, which is not the worst thing in the world. Or you can do Holosun on top of that. But if you're going to go and spend $300 on a riser, what's the point of buying like a $100 optic?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. But I got Mod Light on here right now, 36M. This is the G model, so it runs Glock mags. And I did that for the pure purpose of carrying a Glock all the time. So I have all these mags that can fit into my sidearm or into my PCC setup. I have one of the rare ones because apparently getting the tail hook on these are like impossible now. And yeah, this is kind of where she's at now. I'm sure in like 6 months when we do another video, it's going to be completely different. 36M, phenomenal can. Love this can, but I'm probably going to end up moving it over to a little bit bigger of a boy, like a 6.5 Creedmoor, and then keeping this can, not this can, but keeping the SR mount and putting like an Omega 9K or something like that, which I believe you're running on your Scorpion.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yep. Yeah, this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Very small profile. I can even stand up with it. Takes up not even my full torso with suppressor on it. And I actually did a size comparison, mine with full suppressor, so without baffles being taken out and the shortened configuration of the suppressor or anything. It's actually the same exact size as my buddy's running the Yankee Hill 9mm can AKV. Like his full-size gun is this full-size gun right here. So that's why I went with the B&T, just a super small, super durable, really out of the gates, fucking phenomenal firearm.
Right, and so it's like, I know you're a buy once, try once guy, and like YouTube doesn't like it when we talk prices, but for anyone who knows, B&T is on the higher end of price, like above HK, and so really awesome gun. I've had a chance to shoot with you. It's like it's a badass gun. With me though, I couldn't quite swing that. So with me, I'm rocking a CZ Scorpion. So this is the Evo 3 S1. This is the earlier generation. So this is actually a pistol with a brace. This is a brace here. This is side folding. So it is a lot chunkier than yours, especially since it side folds. The pistol barrel ends about here, and we have our suppressor Omega 9K set in. I have a nightstick here, which is basically their version of a TLR1 that comes back with a pressure pad. I've got kind of goon tape to the side, and then I'm rocking a Trijicon MRO up on top. So my thought on this, again, thing I like is not only do you have the normal Scorpion mags, which one thing I will say with that, anyone who's running a Scorpion, if you're running the translucent plastic magazines, I highly recommend upgrading to these. So this is made by a company called PGS. It's Prepper Gun Shop. They basically made a deal with Lancer to where they're basically Lancer mags. So they're steel feed lips. So I found that the clear plastic, that whatever material it's made out of, whenever it's loaded and stored that way, it cracks the feed lips. And all of my original CZ magazines like that are cracked. They all cracked. They've all they started out at first where they were cracked, but they still ran, and now they're all beat. None of them run. So I can't store them loaded. The Magpul magazines, though, no problem. Quick ad break. If you guys like coffee and you want to support the channel, check out Blackout Coffee. They were awesome enough to sponsor this video. Check out the code that I've put in the description down below. For some awesome coffee, you get 20% off your first order. You can also help support the Second Amendment. They support you, support them, support us, and get a good cup of coffee while you're doing it. At the same time, check out 1791 Gun Leather Holsters for all of your awesome holster needs. We've got some cool stuff coming up from them here soon. So let's get back to the video. I've heard Magpul believe Magpul has a drum for these, I think. I know that you and I had some bad experience with an F5 drum out on the range. We'll see how well the drum works. This is from F5 Manufacturing. Haven't run this before yet on the Scorpion. Just running this with an Omega 9K on here. So let's see how we do. Okay, that's fast. The drum mag, not great. Not great on the drum.
Double feed my crazy or what?
That time it did. Yeah. A little bit.
Oh shit, you're just dropping ammo everywhere, dude.
Let's try to run her out.
It's solid mag. Let me see that brand. Oh, another one.
All right.
Let me see that brand, baby.
So, F5 Manufacturing drum mag. Don't do it.
It's dog shit. Typically, when there's a drum involved, I know it's not dog shit.
It's Magpul so far has really been the only company I've seen that really pulls off a successful drum, and they've got a lot of magazine tech behind them and experience with doing that. A lot of companies that come out and they're like, "Hey, try our drum." It's not great. I mean, like when I say we had literally outside of the first 5 or 6 rounds, I had a double feed every single time.
Every single fucking round.
It's totally ruined the experience. But yeah, I mean, like the CZ, it's not necessarily cheap, but it's more affordable, I would say, than something like with his. And so with that, like with these rifles in mind, we set up a little bit of gear as well. So I'll go over mine real quick. Mine was just super simple. Again, my thought was something you could wear under a jacket, going back to my heist concept. Again, that picture will be floating around here somewhere. So with that, I've got a chest rig from Gadsden Dynamics. So this is just a simple magazine-only chest rig. So this guy here from Gadsden Dynamics, This is black multicam. Don't judge me. It's got Velcro on the back. It's got a pad you can cover with it, but you can Velcro this to whatever. You can Velcro this to whatever, like if you're running like a one of those Spiritus like split rigs or something like that, like a bank robber style chest rig, something like that. This holds 4 S&G mags pretty well. So with that, you could run the Glock mags, you could run the Scorpions, you could run the MP5s. We're doing a low profile rig today. It's running 4 Scorpion mags. Got some pistol mags on me. I do find the Scorpions being a little thicker on these ones. Outside of like MPX mags, I think these Magpul ones are probably the thicker of the magazines. They do kind of stretch that nylon out a little bit. They retain pretty well, at least as long as they're up and vertical, moving around and everything and doing some shooting moving like you'll see in the footage. It didn't really bother it that much. It's hit or miss though, like if you're doing some crazy activities. So again, the idea was like this would be something tight to the body under a jacket. And again, it's a simple H harness here with 2 straps going over your shoulders. You can set it up as an H or an X. And then you've got a back strap as well. Super simple. And just the little clips that hold it in there. You could run it on a plate carrier if you really wanted to. But that was kind of my setup with this. And then it was just running ammo only. Now you can run like a little dangler if you wanted to and have a tourniquet dangle below. This was just riding on the interior pocket of the coat, being the idea, again, everything trying to be concealed within the coat. And then as far as that goes, just running my EDC with it as well, which all I was running that day was my Glock 19. And again, this is the nightstick version of a TLR1. I've got the Mariglow night sights on here. So can't really see those that well. But one thing we did discover, so this holster from 1791 gun leather, this is a super comfortable holster that I like carrying with. However, we were running some pistol drills. We've got some footage of that here. Not the easiest. So again, this is new to me. I've had it for a couple weeks now and I've been practicing my draws and everything with it. I'm definitely not as proficient with it as I am my Kydex holsters. That being said as well, reholstering, we're doing some run dry drills where we would come up, fire, run our gun dry, go to our pistol, put our pistol back in the holster, and feed off and put our pistol back in the holster and then reload our rifles.
It's not great.
Definitely a little tricky to reholster this while it's in your belt. So pros and cons. Like it's super comfortable holster. I will carry all day long with this. But when it comes to anything outside of just a normal draw, it was a little challenging. So I think I will probably go back to carrying with Kydex. This is a comfort piece, but not as practical when the time needs to be, as we discovered.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat when it comes to micro pistols versus just like sub pistols. Like my Glock 19 I carry all the time, but every once in a while I'll throw that P365 on and I'm like, oh, this is nice. So comfortable. I don't have a paperweight in my pants. But I'm a little bit smaller dude, so I kind of went with the same concept of like under the jacket kind of deal. So I did go with a Spiritus Systems micro chest rig. It's a little bit larger than Austin's. It carries a little bit more, so...
Yeah, again, if your body type can allow it, you can definitely get away carrying that pretty tight to the body.
And that's, at this point in the gun industry, people are super aware of that. But Spiritus Systems, micro chest rig, we have the T-Rex arms front flap, so I actually have the Jeep. So you get right here, you get your admin pouch, which I have a couple of maps and things and compass printed out because this is my like get home quick bag. So I have like maps of the local area of like Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene area. I have 4, 5, 6 round mags, which is dope. I can run pistol mags in the front here too. I don't have to. And they're super easy on putting back in, re-indexing. They're all elastic. Magazine carriers in there with Spiritus Systems. And then their dangler pouch is super dope because I'm basically going to throw a bottle of water in here with some medical and stuff like that. Nothing too serious, but I like this platform because it allows me to carry my miscellaneous shit, because the less shit I have in my pockets, the better. If I can put my phone, my keys, everything like that on my chest rather than in my pockets, I'd rather do that. That way I can keep my pants kind of like I said, I'm a little bit shorter, thicker of a guy. I got thicker legs. So when I got like a cell phone and keys and shit and a magazine in my pocket and stuff like that, it gets real uncomfortable, especially if your EMP hits and I'm 50 miles away from my house in my truck and all I have is my PCC. and this little carrier. So that little bit of comfort will go a long way. Hiking, 50 miles back to your house in the end, at the end of the world bullshit. Expensive ass fucking Spiritus. And then I run out in the field like a dirt kid because they're always running around with nods on in the middle of the day too. Which, you know what I'm saying?
I would say like yours worked a lot better for holding the extra stuff. Again, mine was I was trying to go just as concealed as possible. So again, having that chest rig tight to the body, I've got a little bit of a dad bod, so I can't sneak away with as many bulky items. And so
what's in your jacket, dude?
had a flashlight in my pocket, had my radio in my back pocket with kind of the coat covering the antenna, and again, like my EDC and everything. But I think yours works a lot better for kind of putting everything into one compact package that you can wear with that. And again, I think, again, depending on your body type, like that, something with a thick jacket, especially up here in the north where Carhartts are not unheard of.
But with my wife, sometimes I'll put on like my PCC, or this is things that you should do for training at your house as well, is put on your gear and walk in front of your wife and be like, do you notice anything new about me? Haircut, anything like that? And she'll be like, oh, you look fat. And you'll be like, okay, one less magazine. Like, but one of the brilliant things about PCCs that I think people kind of lose track of, unless you're into some sort of like shooting sport or something like that, where you actually shoot like 3-gun with like a 9mm PCC, like AR style 16-inch rifle or something. The point of a PCC in my mind is to be small, concealable, and big enough to fit into a backpack, or small enough to fit into a backpack, I should say, rather than big enough. So
I know yours could get real small and get into a normal, nice little bag. Mine, I got to go a little bit bigger with.
Yeah, so I do have to take the suppressor off, but this is my Vertex bag. I forgot which one this is, but small enough backpack. You won't even notice. I even have my little frog on there my son gave me, so it's super gray, man. And no one expects, the short brown dude with a frog on his chest to have a whole 200 something rounds in his back.
I think to go with our setups, we headed out to the range and basically kind of put them to the test, run a couple drills. So my experience that I kind of found from running these drills was that it's a good concept. It definitely needs a little bit more work from my setup. The plate carrier, or not the plate carrier, the chest rig, as I mentioned, it's pretty decent retention, and it's nice and easy to get these out of here. I think it would be better served if these did have some kind of retention cord on them, some type of bungee or something, or a flap or something to kind of retain a little bit better. I didn't necessarily lose them out of it whenever they were full, but I did notice whenever I was empty, I would retain an empty magazine, and we would be running drills or whatever. I'd pick it up, slow it back in here. The empties would sometimes fly out, which that was super annoying.
Clean follow-up. You're good.
And I've ran this a little bit. I honestly don't shoot my PCC that much, and I've got a couple different setups for it. But this one, I was like, oh, that's kind of super annoying that I'm dropping empty mags that I just picked back up and put back in here. So retention on here could be a little bit better. I think with a little bit of home modification and probably running some retention cord from the strap on the bottom to the top would probably be a better idea. Or maybe coming up with a way to kind of sew some on the front and back and make a retention cord would be a good idea for this. That was kind of my lessons learned between that and then the super comfy EDC holster, not necessarily being the greatest for running drills and stuff on that. But that was kind of some of my lessons learned with that. I know with yours, it was a little bit more like don't hit the mag release.
Stand by.
So I did some work on mine and I polished up that mag release because in the B&T community, all of us rich people, you poors wouldn't understand. But the mag release on this side, I was being facetious, by the way. Don't come at me, you fucking assholes. So when you push this, you hear that audible click.
That's staying in.
Yeah.
So when I first got this rifle out of the box, it was so fucking stiff that my finger could not push that button. I literally had to reach across with my other hand and push it down to get it to go. So I was like, well, we need to fix that. So I unscrewed it, polished it up a little bit, and I realized that when I am holding at a low ready, where does my finger go? Right on the fucking button.
Stand by.
Right. Which on the Scorpion, right, if you're at the low ready, your magazine release is a tab right here. And so if you're at the low ready, you're either up here if you're kind of one of the guys that cheats, but it's a bit of force. You got to push forward, you know? It's not quite a fall out. So that was one thing I think we saw as a little bit different between yours and mine when you ran it, was seeing that.
Well, if you run it on both sides, so you have the mag release on this side, which is a lever that you push with your finger. But I love what they did here, because on this side, the side that you would normally operate, the side that I normally operate the magazine release, is just a button right here.
Right.
So I normally have it reach up, drop the mag with my thumb, grab the new mag, and pop it up in there. But since I polished this one, when you're handling the gun and you're just like going back and forth with it, I'm pushing the button over and over because I don't want to put my finger in that trigger well.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too with that, with both of ours that I noticed was, I think the barrel on this, it's like a 7 or 8 inch barrel on the CZ Scorpion, and then I have the suppressor, which it's a shorter suppressor than yours. It's about yay big, about where this bulk part starts on here. No, it might be a little less. Maybe it's like a 6 inch, but it's still longer than yours because yours is like what, 3 inch barrel on the B&T?
This is the barrel. This is the barrel.
Yeah. So you got like 3, maybe 4 inches if you're lucky. Yeah. That sounds familiar. But you've got a longer can than I do, and it was surprising. I think that both of us running just standard ammo. We weren't running subs or anything. We had a little bit of a sound test. We didn't have anything official. We didn't have the equipment for that. We just kind of off by ear. They basically sound about the same.
Yeah, I love it. Let's try a noise comparison between yours and mine.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I've got the Scorpion Evo, and not the newest one, but the older one with an Omega 9K on here. So we'll see how quiet this is. I'm just running standard, I think 124 grain, nothing super subsonic or anything on here. B&T 36M in the long configuration. Sometimes I'll take out these baffles and just run it in the shorter one, but with full suppressor, I don't know if I'm go ahead. I think yours sounds a little quieter. I got a lot more suppressor than you, though.
I'm 5 feet from you guys, and they sound almost identical.
I think the main advantage yours has is it's much more compact, and then also the ability to take Glock mags, which is nice because it's like you and I both are running Glock 19s as an EDC, and so for me to run a Glock mag and for you to run a Glock mag, it's the same thing, right? But I have to go out and I got to buy CZ mags, which granted they're not that expensive because Magpool's making them and everything now. But you have the luxury of just being like, sick, I just got a stick, slap it in there,
I go to Magpool too, get them $30, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know what really sold me on this? Because I was super on, I was like, I don't know if I really need it. Like I can just run a 300 BLACKOUT or something. Our old boss picked this rifle up and just did this with his arm and said, "You're buying it." Dude, it's the same size of my fucking forearm. Like, dude, this thing is so small.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, like, look, mine, right, as a comparison, like, I mean, it's like even if I side fold mine because I don't have one of those. I kind of wish I had one of the collapsible ones, but if I side fold it, even it's still pretty chunky, and that's like the one regret is I thought aesthetically it looked pretty dope having that carbine length handguard on here, but I think if I could go back in time, I would just get the pistol length and then run the can on it, so then I could kind of just put the can on the side and collapse it down into a bag because I can fit it. I've got backpacks that fit this. It's just much more complicated as far as size-wise goes than yours is. So, I mean, this and my 300 BLACKOUT are about – I've got a video on that. They're about the same size. But so I don't really have the benefit of size. But I think, again, like when I talk about the benefit of the PCC, for me, like one, it's going to be really quiet, right? Whatever you're going to be doing is going to be quiet. Two, if you're using it in any type of defensive scenario where, like, granted, we were just doing hypotheticals for our range time, but if you're using it in any kind of defensive scenario where there's other people around, you have less over penetration with MAGA hollow points that you're running out of there. So, like, I run the SIG V Crown 147s in my defensive mags, and so you're not going to have over penetration issues with like 300 blackout or like liability, things like that. Which, granted, though, if we're getting into that kind of territory, there's a whole lot of other things to be concerned about. Like the fact that I used a PCC is probably going to get me in more trouble than, over penetration in the first place. But
I think if you had time to actually pull it out of your backpack and
Yeah.
get it up and armed and ready to fight, like at that point, what the fuck was going on? There
Right.
multiple shooters. Like, what's going on here, dude?
I think that is one thing to kind of address with this is like, as cool as these guns are and these concepts are to run on the range, it's like when it comes to the realistic use case of these, my CZ Scorpion it also happens to be sitting right next to my bed, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it's way more of like, if there's people in the house, what is the gun I can use that I have to worry the least about over penetration and loud, but it's still going to be effective, right? And I think this is it. And also one that my wife can use when I'm not there. So something like this. Versus a few of the other options that I have.
It's
But
funny
also,
that
I
you
think,
say that, though. It's funny you say that because my wife literally considers this her gun. She calls
Yeah,
it
exactly.
her BMT. And like, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because it's like, look, it's soft shooting, it's easy to use, it's quiet, and
Simple. So simple. Like,
yeah,
it's
super simple. Yours and mine are pretty similar as far as their operation. To where I've got just a single-sided. I've got a single-sided charging handle. You have a double-sided, but basically you're just pulling it to the rear and then you're letting it go forward. So it's basically mine can do the HK slap. Where I'm just going to pull it to the rear, slap it like an HK, and then we're ready to rock and roll. Yours is basically just pull and release. So it's super simple in that case. And I think like some of these guys are like, oh, this is my backpack gun in the scenario of like, I'm going to have time at the mall to like pull this out, go get the bad guys. And it's like, if someone's going to be like, dude, if you had time to get that out, why didn't you just leave?
How come you didn't just pull out your pistol from your pants and shoot the guy
Right.
instead of letting him cap 7 more families?
Right. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, I kind of have this like back and forth when it comes to that. It's cool to talk about like, oh, I'm going to go get them, but I think like that a cool truck gun, that works well for that, where it's like, oh, I have something with me that's more capable than a pistol on the road.
I keep a PCC for one reason and one reason only. It's the same reason why I have water. It's the same reason why I have water filtration in my truck. It's the same reason why I have a lot of things in my vehicle that, like, realistically, I will never have to use unless the Russians or Chinese are falling from the sky. I do it because I'm paranoid and because I like spending money. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I do it because I'd rather have it and not need it than not have it.
Exactly. I think that's a great part when it comes to these, and that ultimately, again, like the PCC is a great option for also the price, like as far as the cost of ammo, it's cheaper to shoot for a lot of things. There's also, there's cons to it, and we can get into a whole video about that. I've done kind of a short 300 blackout 9mm, comparison video, and we could probably go way more in depth in that for like an hour. And if you guys want to see something like that, like comment down below if you want us to go into that.
Absolutely, dude. Comment down below. Comment whether you think that PCCs are even a valid platform anymore. Because, like, if we like just touching onto the subject, I'm not going to deep dive or anything like that. But there is a huge forum of people that believe that PCCs are completely dead because, on a ballistic standpoint, like you said, your 300 blackout is the same size, and you get way better ballistic advantages. So it's kind of like, I understand both spectrums of it, but at the same time, there's a reason why I went PCC. And if you'd like to, like, I don't know, get a little bit more in depth on that, comment down below, and we can do like a whole breakdown video of PCC versus 300 blackout, why and why not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, the PCCs have been around for a long time. I don't think they're going anywhere necessarily. They've been utilized by a ton of people when there's been other options out there. They've been the top choice for a lot of things. I think the ultimate thing that would make PCCs the most fun, in my opinion, and definitely revitalize their existence is things like the Franklin Armory triggers and the binaries and things like that, or just flat out full auto, if it ever came to it, to where just a PCC being able to have controllable full auto fire would be rad. and that's where I think they really shine. So that's what could just kind of my thought on that when it comes to kind of their use case.
I mean,
Again, you and I both own them for a
yeah,
reason. We wouldn't own them if we didn't have some hypothetical reason in our head to use it, because that's
valid
the way we
point.
are.
Yeah, right. I'm a big what's that Asian lady that's like, if it doesn't bring you happiness, throw it away. Like,
So when it comes to PCCs, I think for us, like we've kind of talked about, like the big use case, as you can see from some of the range footage, is that it's just super simply easy to control, and it's cheaper to shoot. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to hand to somebody and be like, this is how it operates. Have fun.
we're also talking magazine compatibility, caliber compatibility,
Yours
quietness,
way more
over
than mine as far as
penetration.
magazine compatibility, but whether if you've got an AR9 that can take Glock mags, or even if you're running like a AKV or Scorpion, like the mags aren't hard to find. It's just not, obviously they're not compatible with your Glock 19 or anything like that.
But
But
there's
ammo
nothing.
is pretty
There's
good.
nothing stopping you. Okay, you kill a couple bad guys on your way home from your absolute end of the world situation that you have in your head that you have to pull your PCC out for, right? And you have to have your plate carrier on your mag or your chest rig on, right? There's nothing stopping you from dumping a couple rounds out of the fucking magazine of your CZ and just popping it in your Glock. Like it's still
Yeah,
the same
vice
caliber.
versa.
Yeah.
It's like the ammo compatibility there is a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. I just went a step further. I just don't want to unload it and then load it again. I just want to throw it in the
Exactly.
Glock.
I think it's good to see. I hope you guys like the videos like this too. We're doing these more in person, hopefully, as our schedules devolve. But also like the ability to you have kind of a more buy once cry once mentality. I'm kind of more of a what's the best the bang for my budget, being on a budget that I can get. So I think we've got a good dynamic there that hopefully in the future we're going to be able to. If you guys stick around, you'll see us kind of compare a lot more of that, especially when it comes to like our GPR setups, our plate carriers, things like that. Kind of getting into, if you're of the opinion I'm going to only ever own one and I'm going to drop whatever it takes, Mike's your guy. And if you're more of the guy who's like, what's the best I can afford right now, and maybe we'll worry about upgrading later, then stick here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mid-Tier Thoughts. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching the condensed version. So go check out the full episode on Spotify or wait another week for it to be uploaded on here. Watch the full thing for the full podcast episode. For those of you watching this, thank you so much. Check out the links below for awesome discounts and merch and Gucci stuff like that. You've been awesome. You've been beautiful. You've been amazing. Mike, take it away. Closing thoughts.
If you kiss the homies goodnight, it's not gay. Ask Siri.
See you next time.